2000 Daytona truck race, Geoff's wreck. Where were you? Did you see anything? Take me through the rest of the day.
So Brett and myself were standing on top of my motorhome in the motorhome lot in Daytona. And we could see him come off of 4, and then we could pick him up back again in 1. So we didn't see the front straightaway. And we watch him come off, and it gets quiet, and everything stops. And we see we can see the TV on the motorhome below us, down next to us. And we look down and like, oh my God, that's bad. This is going to be a while, so we might as well get down, see what happened.
Did you know it was Geoff?
At this point, no. So we climbed down and we're looking at the replays, and first you just see, the first replay I remember was just the truck destroyed, flying through there, like, oh my God, this guy's not, whoever it is not good. And then they back it up, and I don't know if somebody said Geoff's name or we saw the truck first when it was still all together, and from that moment on, I know myself, and I'm pretty sure I speak for Brett, that I don't remember much of anything. I don't know where our wives were at the time, but we got in the car, and I don't know if we went to the infield care center. I don't think we went there first. Maybe we just got right in the car and went right straight to Halifax. Geoff was already there when we got there. So something happened in that time frame, and there again, I don't remember. I think we both went into shock. But I remember getting to Halifax, and we just drove. I was driving, and we just drove right up to the emergency entrance and got out. We didn't just left the car there, and we got to the door, and I forget who was our preacher at the time for MRO. He was there, and he stopped us and he said, "He's alive, and he's not hurt." And I think I started crying. And he said, "Calm down, and we'll get you back there. He's fine. He's alert, and he's fine." And we went right back, and there he laid in the bed. And the one thing that stands out in my mind is he was black. There was not a spot on his body, literally, that wasn't black and blue. I mean, of course, they'd cut his fire suit off, his fire underwear, and he's laying there under the sheets with his arms out, and his arms were just black and blue, and his face was black. His eyes were just blacked out. It was like, and he's saying, "Man, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing's broke. I'm good. It's going to have a long road to get better." And I went out, and all the press was out there by now, and I did an interview. Said, "Praise the Lord, because he is perfectly fine." And yeah, that was tough. It's still, Geoff doesn't mind. It doesn't bother him to watch it.
Does it not?
It bothers me to watch it.
Yeah,
it does. I saw yesterday. I was somewhere, and they had pictures of still pictures of the wreck. Oh, I was out at Memory Lane Museum. I took some friends out there, and that truck is actually there.
Is it?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Geoff gave it to Alex, the late Alex Beam. Alex, a great guy. Sam Beam now runs it and owns it and takes care of everything. It's out there. And they got the pictures next to it, and the one picture with his arm just stretched out way past the vehicle.
The photos are...
It's like, how did that not get ripped off in this wreck?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you how it didn't. In the middle of that wreck, and Geoff will tell you the story. He's told it before on TV on Christian Network. In the middle of that wreck, our father, who had passed away 3 years earlier, came to him And Geoff said it was like he could reach out and touch Dad. He was like he's right there. Had his fedora hat on and his glasses and his cheesy mustache. And he told him, he says, Jeffrey, you just hang on. It's not your time right now. You're going to be fine. Just hang on. It'll be over soon. And I really think that's why he survived. Dad was riding with him. Because when he was done, he was fine. He was hurt. He was hurting. But he was fine. Still alive.
I don't know how.
Makes you believe in divine intervention. It really does.
Well, thanks, Todd. I don't know how to follow that up, but everybody remembers the Darlington finish between Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch. And the next day, you and Jamie McMurray
had the same finish.
Well, you kind of showed Ricky and Kurt up, but we'll get to that one in a minute. But the finish that kind of gets left out of the mix and all that is you and Greg Biffle the year before at Kentucky.
Yeah.
What were you seeing from the inside of the car?
Which one? Where do you want to start?
Kentucky.
So I was racing for Travis Carter in the Cup car, and we were at Michigan that weekend, and we were racing Kentucky on Saturday night, and we were going to fly back and race Michigan Sunday. Well, in 25, 30 laps into the race at Kentucky, this downpoured.
I remember.
And called Travis and said, look, in the Cup car, we weren't in the points. We were way back. It didn't really matter what we did. The Busch car, we were in the points. I was the first one to run both series full time. And we were in the points, and we had a good, decent car, and we were going to run good. And he said, look, just stay there. Geoff, your brother Geoff's here not racing. We'll put him in the car tomorrow, and we'll start last, and we'll race, and you just stay there and race that car. So what we did. So that night in Kentucky, we were just okay. We were okay. But when we raced the next day in the bright sunshine, the car was a rocket ship. I mean, that thing was fast. And with 30 laps to go, I drove up. I took the lead from Biffle and drove away from him. And with 8 laps to go, the caution comes out. And it was pretty quick caution. Maybe it was it was 12 laps to go or something. It was going to be a quick caution. And I had moved up to the high line, and Greg was still running the bottom. Of course, it was a brand new track, so the grip was really good up high. And once I moved up there, I could pass anybody, and that's where I was making time. So we come down for the restart, and I had made up my mind. I didn't know what to do, and I said, well, I'm making all this time in the high line, so I'm just going to stay up there. So I go down into 1, and I stay up high. Well, Greg's tires had cooled down, and he run around the bottom and passed me, and he drove away from me. He was probably 4 car lengths in front of me at the white flag. And maybe even more, maybe a little more. And we came off a 2, and first when he passed me, I was pissed off, made me mad. And it was like 2 laps later, the white flag, and I was like, there's no way I'm getting beat. This is not happening. We should be winning this race. So we come off a 2, and now I'm right on his bumper. I just hauled a mail. It took a couple laps for my car to come in. I run through 1 and 2 and just smoked it and come off right on his bumper. We went into 3 on the last lap. He went to the bottom, and I went to the top, and I drove right around him. We come off. We bumped and banged a little bit, and before we got to start-finish line, he banged me one more time, and it turned his car sideways. And he went across sideways, and I beat him to the line and won the race. Yeah. And I had a flat tire. I had to limp it around to victory lane. And the cool part about the whole thing is he came to victory lane and was laughing and stuck his hand out, and what a great race and how much fun he had, and we just laughed it off and went on. It was that was really cool.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be. You don't see that today.
Yeah. So, Darlington. How cool a finish was that?
It was pretty cool that I ended up winning, but pretty bad because I made a huge mistake. We should have never got to that point.
Okay.
Jamie and ourselves had we'd pitted and put tires on. Steve Grissom and a few other guys didn't put tires on. Just a little splash of gas. It wasn't that many laps to go. And Rambo, Tony Liberati, had it calculated. He figured, he's my crew chief, he figured we were going to pass him on the last lap for the lead. We ended up passing him with 2 laps to go for the lead. And on the last lap, me and Jamie come back through the field. And on the last lap, I pulled Jamie really good through 1 and 2. And he got a good run off of 2 and came back up on me. He's a couple car lengths back going into 3. And, I'm thinking, okay, run the middle groove. If you run the middle, he's got to go around the outside of you, and you can move up and block him. Or if he tries to go underneath, it's going to kill his momentum, and you're going to still win. So I run the middle groove. And Jamie got such a run through 3 and 4, he drove right to the outside of me before I could even think about it. And when he was going by me, coming off of 4, he went by so fast, it sucked me around aerodynamically. And I got sideways, and I never lifted. And I turned back, and when it caught, went up and hit him and spun him to the inside. I hit the outside wall, and I never lifted. And I ended up beating him to start-finish line. So Jamie really probably should have won the race because I made a mistake. But I'm not going to give him the trophy, that's for sure.
Well, you had Rambo as your crew chief, so you were already at a disadvantage. So. Yes, I said it, Rambo.
Yeah.
This is my show. You were running for the Herzogs at that point, and that team had so much potential. You led the points championship for I guess quite a bit of the first half of the season, but then you shut down due to a lack of sponsorship after Daytona. How disappointing was that for you?
That was tough. That was really tough. You as a driver, you're trying to put yourself in the position to have good people working on your cars, good crew chief, good equipment. You try to make sure you give yourself every opportunity to succeed. And we had done that. Rambo had put together an incredible group of guys, built beautiful race cars, and we had finally figured out, how to get them where I needed them to do what I do, setup-wise. And, man, we were fast all the time. Every track we were fast. And we should have won a couple more races where I made some mistakes. But to lead the points and doing what we're doing and have the rug pulled out from under you, it was tough. It was tough on everybody. Right now, if you go out in the garage area and on these teams, and that whole team, every member of that team is on a cup team right now, and they're an important member of that cup team. They're in a higher position. That's how good a people we had. But, it was after 9/11, and the Herzogs company, their bonding company, their construction, their bonding company went bankrupt, so they had to get a new bonding company, and they couldn't find just one to bond them because they were so big, so they had to get 2 of them. And when they got these 2 companies, the companies asked them, what is this $4 million that you're spending on this race team? And they said, yeah, that's our race team, and that's our toy, that's what we play with. And they said, well, if you want us to bond you, you can't have this spending this money. That's why that's why they had to stop racing.
I did not know that.
And so as bad as it was for us as a team, Randy and Stan, who Randy just recently passed away, Stan had passed away a few years ago, I know that it was killing them because they were racers. They loved their team. They loved to come to the racetrack and just hang out with the guys and be part of the team. They've been in a lot of forms of motorsports, and they were all about racing. And I know when they had to do that, it just killed them inside.
you wound up going truck racing in 2005. How did that come about?
So I was racing for Travis Carter in '03, and we got about 4 weeks to go in the season, and we thought we had Discover Card for the next year as a sponsor, and they called and said, look, we can't do it. Our parent company's in trouble. They need our funding. We can't spend the money on your race team. It's that simple. So here we are at the end of '03. I got no job going into the next year, and at that point, you're not going to find a job. So '04, I start off on doing starting parks for a friend, and then I started doing some starting parks for Phil Parsons and Busch Series, Xfinity. What was it at the time? I don't even remember at the time. But I was just doing whatever I could do to make some money and pay the bills so I didn't have to spend our savings. And about halfway through '04, Mike Hillman called me. And I'd been friends with Mike for a long time. We went way back. And he was actually Brett's crew chief for a while, but I'd known Mike before that. I mean, our two shops were right next to each other at Drag Strip Park, and we'd both be working late, and we'd go out about 9 o'clock and sit down on the milk crate outside and have a beer before we went home together. I mean, we had that kind of relationship. And I had raced some in the Cup Series with Action Motorsports with Mike a little bit. So we had a great relationship anyway. So Mike called me and said, hey, I got these three brothers. They're Toyota dealers from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. They're going to start a race team, truck team. It's going to be Toyota factory team. We're going to get all the stuff from Toyota. It's going to be a real deal. And I want you to come drive it. I said, hell yeah. I said, I'm all in. A real race team again, and I know Mike and how he works, and it was going to be a real race team that was going to win races, no matter who drove it. So Mike says, hey, these brothers are coming to the race shop this coming Wednesday. Can you come meet and talk with them? I said, yeah, man, I'd love to come. So Wednesday comes, beautiful day out. I drive down there. It was down in Harrisburg, kind of by the Speedway. And I show up, and I walk in, and there's these three guys, all got suits and ties on, sitting in the office. And Mike introduced me, says, this is Bob Germain, this is Steve Germain, this is Rick Germain. These are the guys I told you about. They're going to own this race team. And Steve Germain, I love Steve. He's kind of a little bit of the jokester of the group. And he looks at me and says, I'm standing there. I got a T-shirt on, shorts, and flip-flops.
You dressed for the occasion, didn't you?
And he says, is this how you come for a job? Is this how you come dressed for a job interview? I said, well, first of all, I didn't think it was an interview. I thought I already had the job. And, yeah, this is how I come dressed. That was my first introduction. So I left, and Mike called me that night and said, hey, you're driving this truck for us. We're going to go win some races. So we ran 8 races that year and won 2 of them, and went on to have one hell of a relationship for a long time.
How much fun was it to be that competitive that quickly?
It was fun. It's a great way to put it. It was fun. You know, we went to Richmond the first race and finished 4th. And Richmond was never one of my best tracks. I'd run good there, and I got a pole there and never won there. But it was like, you know, hey, this is pretty cool, you know. And we took the same truck to California and just murdered them. And like, man, this is going to be good. We have got something here. And now we've got the attention of Toyota, and they know that they've got the team that they were looking for. You know, they had Travis Quapple had already won one race with Bang Motorsports, but Bang team was not very good. And I think they've realized, you know, we've got 3 guys that are dealers on the business side that promote us, owning this team. We got one of the best crew chiefs in the business. We got a good driver. We've got something here. And so we went in 05, and start of 05 is a little sketchy. We won't talk about that. But I ended up coming back to drive for him at Milwaukee, and we were killing them. And I forget what happened. Something happened. The motor broke or something. But Mike Sr. Brought Mike Jr. in to be the crew chief. And it was all the difference in the world. When Senior could concentrate on the team as a whole, and Junior could concentrate on the truck to make it go fast, man, we were unstoppable. And we went, I want to say it was 40, it was not quite 40. It was mid-30s some races where we didn't finish out of the top 5. And it was just, man, it was so much fun. And when you get that kind of success, and there again, they had built a team with people and guys that were really good. And they actually brought some guys in and taught them what they wanted them to do. And we truly became a family. And actually, a few months ago, Turbo, who was our truck driver, he retired finally from racing. Of course, we hadn't been a team for 12 years. And at his retirement party, it was all Germain Racing. I mean, there was a few from other teams he'd worked with, but we got back together as a family. And that's the way birthday parties. Half the team would show up for somebody's birthday party. It was the culture that we had built. And I really believe that's why we were so successful. One of the biggest reasons why we were so successful. I really do.
So you did win the championship in 2006. After all you'd been through, with so many ups and downs, and bouncing back and forth between Cup and Busch, Cup and Busch, Cup and Busch, what was the view like from the mountaintop?
It was relief. It was gratifying. But it was bigger than me. Our family has been in this sport since 1949, I think, is when Grandpa and Dad built the racetrack. And the three of us had been at the top level of the sport for several years, and we had not won championships. Geoff and Brett had won some local short track championships in New England and whatnot, but not a lot of those because they kind of raced everywhere. Didn't really race for championships. So this was the first championship in our family. And it was bigger than me. It was about our family. It was about the sacrifices we made, about the sacrifices Geoff had made, and Brett. I mean, Geoff almost giving his life in a truck, and Brett, wicked bad crash at Michigan one time, and I was right in front of me. And, we gave our blood, sweat, and tears to be in the sport and be successful and do what we did, and to be able to finally have that championship trophy, it was for all of us. And that's what I said in my speech. This is about our family. This is what we gave to the sport. This isn't just mine. This is for all of us. And our mom and dad, who sacrificed a lot for us to be in the sport, and supported all three of us to be in the sport. I mean, to have 3 sons doing a dangerous profession and have to live with that every week, that's tough as a parent. Yeah. So it was for the family.
You added another truck title in 2010, but even after winning championships in the 30 truck, sponsorship was still an issue.
Mm-hmm.
How obviously you were happy winning the championships, but also how frustrating was it to not be able to bring in those dollars and not have to worry about such things?
It was For me, it wasn't frustrating because I didn't think about those things. For the Germains and for Mike Hillman, and it was tough. You know, the Germain brothers kept putting more and more and more of their own money into it to keep us going. You know, we had some sponsorship here and there, and Toyota subsidized us, and so we were making it work. And there again, there was a spare no expense attitude to make it win races, and we did, and that's why they had to keep putting money in. So it was hard on them, and I think in the end that was probably the deciding factor why we just can't do this anymore. You know, to put $500,000 of your own money in per year is not a bad thing. When you're putting $1.5 million in, it's a little different story. Now that affects your families and their future, and you really can't blame them for saying this is enough. And that was the end.
2013, you ran the first 7 races or so, and then a few races later, you ran another in the Truck Series, and then you did some nationwide and Xfinity races here and there the next few years. Were you actively looking for a full-time ride, or by that time were you just trying to have a little fun? Or
just having fun.
Okay.
You know, when I quit driving for ThorSport in the middle of 2013 as a full-time driver, and I was like, at first it was like, you know, this is enough. I've done this. I've been a champion. I've won a lot of races. I don't need to beat my head against the wall just to go around in circles. And I drove a couple Xfinity races for Bobby Dodder. Bobby was nice enough. We ran Watkins Glen, which was home. And we just kind of got some sponsorship together from the people at home, Scott Welliver and the Cook brothers, and just to have fun. And we did. You know, unfortunately, we got wrecked the very last one we were there. But, you know, I never went back looking for a full-time gig. You know, I was older. It had become a young man's game. You know, everybody wanted a kid, which is okay. I'd had my time in the spotlight, and I'd done well, and I was content with that.
How big of an adjustment did you have to not driving week in and week out? Was that hard?
It was hard, but it wasn't hard. You know, a lot of professional athletes get to the end of their career, and they're all done, and they stand there like, okay, now what do I do? Well, you know, I can't play baseball anymore. I can't throw the football anymore. Well, what am I going to do? Well, when I got to the end of my career, I was so blessed and fortunate. 2 weeks later, Fox Sports called me, said, hey, Michael can't do the booth in Iowa. He's going to Goodwood. Would you want to fill in for him in Iowa in the booth? I was like, yeah, heck yeah. I'll do it. That'd be fun.
Had you ever done anything like that?
No. I'd done a little bit with PRN.
Okay.
You know, a couple of races, just sitting in for 20 minutes as a, you know, kind of, but never on TV, never as a full-time thing.
Really?
And went up there, and I had a blast. Just was me being me, and they liked it good enough. You know, after that, they hired me. So now I went from driving full-time to doing TV full-time. I never had that lull of, what do I do next? I went from one career right into another, and just so blessed to still be with Fox and FS1 and doing the pre-race show and having a ball, you know.
So at some point this year, think Pocono, you're going to reach 800 NASCAR starts.
Yeah.
What has it been like being back in the truck?
It's been fun. You know, and everybody says, well, you're going to win one of these races. I said, well, that's what the idea is, but you know what? Top 10s are good. We're going to have fun doing this. You know, when we, as a race car driver, when you start doing this as a profession, as a professional, it's all about winning, doing the best you can. So when you get there, to the racetrack and you get in that seat, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. We'd love to drive race cars. And when you crank it up and you go out there, you're having a ball. But it's about winning races. It's about winning championships. It's about getting your sponsor the most coverage they can get. It's about doing all the things that a professional racer has to do. So it becomes somewhat of a job. And that does take some of the fun out of it. Well, these 6 races, I got none of that. I don't have to worry about it. This is truly about having fun every second that we're at the racetrack. And, we went to Las Vegas as the first race. We had 40 of our friends there. It was awesome. And we stayed after the race for a few days, and we gambled, and we had fun, and we did things and enjoyed ourselves. Went to Darlington, and I think we had 26 people there. And we didn't get to do anything afterward. We were going to go to the beach, but then we didn't. But we had a blast. Even though it was only one day, it was a blast. Getting ready now to go to Texas in a couple of weeks. We got a whole bunch of people coming. This is about having fun. It's about sharing my experience with our friends. It's about sharing and thanking the fans for everything they've done for me over the years and being a part of the sport. And when we get done at Pocono, which at Pocono is going to be crazy because we're doing our golf. Janet is from that area, so we're going to do our golf tournament again on Thursday. And then for the race on Saturday, we've got about 50 people coming in the garage area with us. NASCAR has been so nice about this and understanding. But we're also going to have about 125 tickets for the grandstands. We've got that many people that want to be a part of my last race, our friends. And then after the race is over that night, one of our local establishments called the R Bar, we're having a retirement party, an official Todd's done driving professionally retirement party. And at that point, I'll be done. Now, that's not to say I won't be going driving some vintage races or, heck, maybe the SRX eventually, I mean, I still want to race and have fun doing it.